Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nerdy Rich here on the Nerdy Rich channel. So, I had to do this call to action. I know, it's annoying. Another YouTuber telling us that I know. Before you even start watching whatever video this is, whether the gameplay, reviews, whatever the topic is, please go and subscribe. Subscribing is super important. It's free. You just hit the button, you hit all, and then whenever I drop a new video, you will see it, because it's a great way for you guys to see my content. Especially, I'm going to be growing a lot throughout the new year, and I would love for you guys to be there for my journey at this YouTube channel. So I will definitely see you guys in the new year. So comment, rate, like the video, share the video with everybody, and I will catch you guys then. Enjoy the video. Alright, what is up, everybody? It's your boy Nerdy Rich here, back on the Nerdy Rich channel, and we are back to finally start on the prequel trilogies, all on the channel. Episode 1, 2, 3, they're all on the channel, so go back on the channel, go watch that. To everybody who has been supporting the Terrifier videos, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. You guys, it's already reached 100 views. It's like one of the highest viewed videos I have on the channel currently. Today I'm going to try to finish the Terrifier 2 video, but again, I'll release them whenever it's finished. But anyway, let's get on to the first ever Star Wars movie ever created, being Star Wars A New Hope. And of course, this movie came out in the 70s. Everybody was shocked because this is the first time technology and stuff really started to get better. The practical effects and everything started to really get better in movies. So a lot of people just surprised about that. And of course, this is George Lucas' first ever movie he ever written and made it to obviously get produced. And how do I think about this movie? So let's go into the plot of the movie. So the plot of the movie starts with, we have the Empire is chasing after a rebel ship that just completed a mission to steal the plan to the super weapon that they have, and Vader ends up finally catching them, and he tries to go and get Leia, who is the princess who was helping the rebellion, and he ends up capturing her. But before he's able to capture her, she sends out a message through a droid called R2, and she sends a message to Obi-Wan, who is a old famous Jedi, and she's like, hey, you know, can you help with this war? You know, we are losing. We can't defeat the Empire without you. We need you to join back in the army to help out, just like you did during the events of the Clone Wars. And of course, the droids end up leaving the ship where they are all at. Leia gets captured, and the ship falls into Tatooine, which is where Obi-Wan, Luke, and then many other characters are currently at. So of course, they end up getting picked up by I think they're from a couple of raiders, and Luke and his uncle just happen to see the raiders. They try to pick out some droids to help out on their farm, and they end up finding R2 and C-3PO, and because of Luke, they were able to buy them. As Luke is trying to clean them up to get all the sand out of them, because they've been in the sand before they got picked up, he ends up accidentally triggering the message from Leia to Obi-Wan, and he knows it's Ben Kenobi. So he's like, there's no way old man Ben is Obi-Wan, right? So of course, R2-D2s eventually try to run away to go find him. Luke and 3PO go after him, and they eventually run into Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's, you know, trying to tell Luke the story of how his father was a Jedi, how he was a Jedi during the Clone Wars, and basically he's been watching them the whole time, trying to protect them from the Empire itself, so that he can ultimately train him to fight against the Empire itself. So, of course, they end up leaving the planet Tatooine. They end up meeting the iconic character Han Solo and Chewbacca. And then they end up going to try to find Princess Leia so they can meet up with Princess Leia. And, of course, they eventually was able to escape. But something happens, and now it's up to Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewbacca to all join up the rebel to attack on the Empire super weapon, which is why Vader was chasing them at the beginning of the movie, because they managed to get the blueprint to the super weapon, and that's why they were able to eventually attack the super weapon. And yeah, that's pretty much the film. The film is very straightforward in terms of its plot. It's just literally it's literally the droids go to try to find Obi-Wan. They end up finding Luke. Luke wants to get off the planet. He wants to fight for the Rebel army, so he finally gets the opportunity. He helps to get Leia, and then eventually join the Rebel army, and then eventually goes to take out the army itself. It's pretty straightforward in terms of its plot. Now, the thing I do like about it is the characters in the movie are are great for how they first start out. Obviously, the later two films in this trilogy will flesh them out, and I will. So Luke Skywalker. So as we know, Luke Skywalker is the main character of the movie. Throughout this first movie being A New Hope, Luke Skywalker is a very straightforward guy. He's just a guy who wants to go on an adventure. You know, he's tired of being home on his planet, and he's just tired of living a simple life until eventually he finds R2D2, H3PO, and then of course R2 is trying to look for Obi-Wan, and they end up fighting Old Man Ben, and of course Old Man Ben reveals that he is Obi-Wan. He starts talking about the stories of the Clone Wars and a little bit about Luke's father, and then ultimately they have to go and save Leia, so he goes with them, and of course they meet Han, and of course throughout the movie he just slowly becomes a hero. He goes from being this simple boy to eventually becoming a hero, and of course the final battle of the movie proves why Luke is such a great hero, because he's willing to sacrifice everything to save the galaxy, even though he doesn't really have a big stake in all of this. Of course, with other medias and stuff, they have explained more the reason why Luke wanted to become a rebel so bad and why he wanted to leave. But if we're only talking about the movie, but this is the real reason. I like that Luke is very funny. He does have funny moments. He does have little jokey moments. He is not just I'm just going to save the princess and that's it. No, he actually do have a bunch of great jokes and moments throughout the film. And I love his relationship with Han and Leia, and of course Obi-Wan as well throughout the film. And I really like that. But I like that in the later movies we really get more of his personality and really show him become such this great character and this great Jedi. Right now he's just starting out. He's literally he's not even a Padawan. He's just like a learner. But because of what's going to happen in this movie, he's going to have to learn a lot on his own or get somebody better to teach him to become the Jedi that we all know him to be in the later two films and then the rest of the franchise. But overall, he's a very solid character. Next up, we have Han Solo. Now, Han Solo is a cool guy. He's your typical cool guy. You know, he likes to fly fast stuff, like his Millennium Falcon. He's a smuggler. He's a shit talker. You know, he's very smooth with the ladies. He's just a very simple guy. But as the film goes on, he feels more like a big brother figure to Luke. You know, he could definitely tell he's a bit older than Luke, and he treats Luke like a little brother. He's always protecting him, but he's always willing to do the right thing, even when he doesn't want to. He's like, I don't want to go deal with this fight against the Empire. I just want to get paid and go home. But he eventually does join the fight after, of course, meeting Leia and Luke, and of course Obi-Wan, and then he becomes a great ally to the point where he makes a really great moment later on during the final battle that gives Luke the chance to even defeat the Empire by the end. I'm not going to say how, but if you've seen this movie, you know how. It's one of the most iconic final battles in cinema for a reason. But he's just such a good guy, and I like that he does grow into a better person. Of course, the later two films will dive deeper into that, and then of course his solo movie also, no pun intended, will explain more about how he became the person that we all know and love him to be. And of course the next character is of course Princess Leia. Princess Leia is probably my favorite character in the original Star Wars, because of the single fact that she's not your typical damsel in distress. Because at first she seemed like it shouldn't be, you know, even though we find out she's a politician, she's a princess and everything like that, she is trying to help the rebels to fight the Empire. But of course she gets captured at the beginning of the film, and of course she sent R2 to go fight Obi-Wan and basically starts the whole plot. Once we get to the point where we save her, she's not a damsel. She immediately grabs the blaster, starts shooting at stormtroopers. She's cracking jokes. She's just having a fun time. It's like you can tell like she's really a warrior princess, like your Xena, your Wonder Woman, just all these strong female characters that are warrior type, and I like that she has a personality throughout the entire. You can name a bunch of different great female characters that has personality. That's why she's such an iconic character. She's just as iconic as her two male leads, as her two male counterparts, and I like that. You know, she's the reason why everything is even got pushed into this movie, and I like that even at the end, she's still helping out with the final battle in her own way, and I like that a lot of people have respect for her. They don't just be like, oh, she shouldn't be here because she's a woman, da 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 da. Nobody cares that she's a woman. They care the fact that she knows how to get the job done, which I really like that a lot. So they really did an amazing job with her as a character. Next, of course, the final character we're going to talk about for this video is, of course, Darth Vader. Or Darth Vader. Darth Vader, in this movie, he's very straightforward as a villain. He doesn't really have a lot of character depth, yet the later two films really go into it. He's just this looming presence. You know, he's a little soft spoken, but when he gets upset, he doesn't use his words to make action go. He just uses his force, his presence, and a lot of people are afraid of him. From the people he worked with to the rebels, everybody is afraid of him because he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He doesn't like to use his
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
which I really do appreciate that. As
enough of this.
Vader,
Release him.
Present, and I like that when the final battle does happen, he does get involved with it. And especially if you watch the rest of the franchise, you know why him being in that final battle makes perfect sense. Once we figure out who he truly is behind the mask, but he does a really good job, and I like that throughout the movie he's giving us little hints of why Luke is going to become very important for the rest of the franchise, and he has so many iconic lines, iconic moments. He is a solid villain for the first movie, but I feel like he doesn't become this great villain until the second movie, and especially the final movie of the trilogy. That's when he really becomes a menace, and then of course the rest of the franchise, we get a lot of details of who he is and just a bunch of other stuff. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I really love this film. Still one of the most iconic movies. I mean, it has great characters. It has very witty and funny dialogue. It has good scores, so many iconic scores. And it's just a really great film. If you haven't seen the original Star Wars, being Star Wars A New Hope, I highly recommend watching it. It is such a great film. And I can't wait to talk the rest of the two films in this franchise. I'll catch you guys then.